Welcome to Leisure Gamer Network, a home for working professionals, students, parents, or anyone else with a passion for gaming but have time constraints on when you can play. We review games after an hour of gameplay to see if they grabbed our attention and are worth your time playing. The presentation and setting inside Homefront is very commendable, and the story creates a foundation which a lot of intense emotions can be explored about patriotism, desolation, and hope. There are some really powerful scenes, even within the first hour we played, and fighting in broken down America is quite jarring as your character uses guerrilla tactics to push back the invading forces. While it's not a psychological thriller, Homefront might be one of the most frightening games of the year. Set in the year 2027, Homefront depicts the occupation of America by North Korea. Over the next 16 years, North Korea is able to consolidate their power in the East, and they form a massive Greater Korean alliance. While the US is crippled with insanely high gas prices, hyperinflation, and a pandemic bird flu, Korea gets their hands on a space satellite and releases a giant electromagnetic pulse over the United States, basically destroying what little infrastructure is left. They invade the West Coast and irradiate the Mississippi River, which splits the country in two and secures their occupation of America. While the setting is cool, other aspects of the game aren't as refined. The music is a little generic, the sounds are somewhat dull, and the graphics can be outdated at times. Homefront feels like an arcade shooter, and sometimes I even felt like I was playing a game of virtual whack-a-mole. Different enemies popped up in front of me, and I would just aim towards them without moving around very much. You'll notice that the aiming is very snappy, there isn't much need for cover, and you can't really implement tactical strategies such as flanking because the levels aren't designed to accommodate the strategies. There is a good mix of weapons, and you'll be cycling through a lot of different guns you find off fallen enemies, instead of loading up at supply points found in most games. Even though there are a lot of weapons, I had a tough time telling the difference between them all because they sounded and acted roughly the same way. I found one or two I was content with, but before that, the weapons didn't seem very powerful and I felt a little underwhelmed. A really great feature is the ability to control a robot tank called Goliath through a pair of binoculars by marking targets and having him dispatch them quickly. He seemed spunky enough and was fun to control. Throughout Homefront, you'll also encounter different technological advances. You'll often have to take out mobile sentry turrets by throwing a grenade at their fuel tank. It seems somewhat guerrilla in fashion, but that's what it takes to be part of the resistance.
Nice work.
There are 4 levels of difficulty inside Homefront. If you've had prior first-person shooter experience, you might even have to bump up the difficulty on your first playthrough. Like many other modern shooters, your health gradually recovers after you've been hit. But if you do manage to be defeated, you'll restart at the closest checkpoint. Checkpoints vary, but they're usually during a quiet moment before a huge firefight. Homefront earns a rating of standard for difficulty. The couple times I did die were more of a result of some sort of glitch. I either got stuck in some corner or the game failed to recognize I was hitting the enemy. The online experience is completely different from the campaign. The defining aspect is the battle points, which are like an in-game currency and can be spent on the fly during a match to acquire special weapons such as a missile launcher, an airstrike, or even a helicopter. The better you do during a match, the faster you'll acquire battle points. This usually means all matches start the same, a mad rush in the beginning to build up your battle points, followed by everyone cashing in their points to call in airstrikes or spawn inside tanks. I felt like there were some balance issues with the online play. It can be extremely difficult to gain the upper hand, while the opposition hoards an army of tanks, and your team struggles to build up enough points to counterattack. On the other hand, if you do acquire a vehicle, it can be really easy to rack up the kills.
That's a kill. KPA vehicle in close proximity.
It's easy to jump in and out of the story, and it won't take too much focus to get reacquainted once you dive back in. There are 7 campaign missions to complete, and in the hour I played, I got through 2.5. The checkpoints make it easy to step away from the story if you have to, factoring in the multiplayer, which is a little more time intensive, and Homefront earns the rating of evening for time commitment. The online matches feature fairly large maps, since they can accommodate vehicles and up to 32 players can partake in the mayhem. There are 75 levels to unlock for multiplayer, but you need a retail code that comes with the purchase of the game to get past level 5. You can also buy the code online for $10. Although you can continue to play without the code, you'll just be capped at level 5. The way you gain more battle points and experience in general is through completing objectives such as getting 50 kills with a certain attachment or winning 5 rounds of team deathmatch. The higher level you get, the more special weapons you have access to. Which brings me back to the balance issue. The higher level players can spawn better vehicles and equipment, so there is a bias in regards to level. Newbies will have to be especially cunning to do well at beginning matches, or just grunt your teeth until you can unlock comparable weapons. The setting and presentation of Homefront is very cool, and during the campaign there are collectible news articles spread around the world that give a little background and detail to the events leading up to the occupation. This adds some amount of replay for those players who like to unlock everything. However, the run and gun style of gameplay didn't demand my attention, and I wasn't completely engaged. Homefront earns the rating of not really. The story would be the main reason I'd come back for more, but I could easily read a summary online if I really wanted to know how the story ended up. If you do decide to pick up Homefront, you could probably finish the campaign in 3 to 4 sittings.
For your own thoughts on the game, post in the comment section below, and remember to subscribe to become part of the Leisure Gamer Network. Till next time, enjoy gaming.
Get up! We gotta head to the tower! Follow me! Run!